Iman, do you understand what active immunity is?
Yes, I do.
Sure. Any doubts?
Not really.
Okay. Just wait for a minute before MR comes. Mm. Okay, Iman, we will just see what passive immunity is, and then we'll continue tomorrow because I don't know where MR is. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So for active immunity, as I basically told you, I would get the one second. Mm, stick away. Okay. So, okay, active immunity, basically, I get the COVID pathogen inside my body or the virus or whatever bacteria it is, I get it in my body for the first time. My lymphocytes, they produce antibodies and they produce memory cells for that. And then those memory cells will retain the memory, they will remember that pathogen. And then, if in case that pathogen comes again in my body, they will be ready to fight it off. That is called active immunity. Now, what passive immunity is, for example, I have been given the antibodies. One second. Mm, there was this good example in the textbook. Okay. So, for example, I got, do you know what rabies is? Rabies infection.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So for example, I got the rabies infection. Okay. And we do not have time to wait for my body to make that antibodies and then fight it off because it is dangerous, right? So, for example, another person, for example, let's take you as an example. You have already fought off rabies once and you have antibodies. So, what the doctor did is they took the antibodies from your body and they injected the antibodies into me directly, the antibodies. Okay, antibodies for rabies. They injected them inside my body. One second. And because the antibodies are produced, they will directly go and fight off the rabies in my body and they will kill it. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, now babies, they get passive immunity from the mother. by breastfeeding, or through the placenta when they are in the mother's womb. Because we know that when the baby is born, their immune system is not yet developed so well. They cannot fight with the infection, right? They have weak immunity. So basically, when they breastfeed, they get the antibodies from their mother into their body, so that if in case that same infection which was actually mother, she fought it off once, if that comes into the baby already has antibodies for it. So this is called passive immunity. Basically, the baby is having the antibodies, but the baby did not get the infection. That is called passive. But if the baby got the infection and he or she made their own antibodies and the memory cells, then that is called active immunity. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Um, Active immunity, it is long lasting. I would write it over here. Active immunity, because if my body had got that pathogen inside, so long lasting. If my body got the pathogen and then my body fought it off, then my body would also create memory cells for it. And those memory cells, as I told you before, they could even last lifetime. So that is called active immunity. It's basically long lasting. It will remain. Even if I get the infection again, my body will be ready to fight it off. But in passive immunity, as I told you over here, we are directly injecting these antibodies inside the body, right? Now, these antibodies, they cannot they will not be in the body for a long time. They will get destroyed. They will finish. And once they are finished, my body does not have the immunity anymore. Why? Because no memory cells were created. In this case, what we did was, sorry, we basically had memory cells created in the body. So they will remember it. But if I injected the antibodies directly into my body, no memory cells were created, right? Is that clear?
Yeah.
No memory cells were created means I do not have the antibody for that, and my body will not be able to fight it off again. That is why passive immunity is short term, active immunity is long lasting. Okay, man?
Okay.
Okay. Just a second. Mm, is Amar here? No. Okay. I would go back to this. Okay. So I will write the definition for active immunity and the passive immunity for you. And then, okay. Mm, Active immunity. Active immunity is basically defense against a pathogen by the antibody production in the body. By antibody production in the body. In my own body, I got the infection and I fought it off, right? The second one is passive immunity. Mm, and that would be a short term defense. As I told you before, no memory cells are created, so we call it short term defense against a pathogen, against a pathogen by antibodies acquired from another individual, right? So in the case of rabies, for example, my doctor took the antibodies from your body because you had them, right? So it could be from any other individual, from another individual, such as from mother to infant, such as mother to infant, that is during breastfeeding or when they're inside the womb. It can also pass through the placenta so that the baby is basically having the antibodies and he is safe against the infections. Is that clear, Iman?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Now what is left is we need to, there are some points to add a little bit here and there for the active and passive immunity, and then we have autoimmune diseases and cholera, and then we'll be done with this chapter. Just give me 1 second, 1 second.